Sachsenhausen was a camp in Berlin, sort of a pet camp of Hitler and his cohorts. Most of the Germans were there, amazingly. It was occupied mostly by Germans, a lot of clergymen, tens of thousands of clergymen were in prison over there, and civilians as well. Every morning, at least half a dozen civilians were brought into the camp. They were stood by the main gate. They painted their clothes with black paint and put a big sign on top of it, say, I am a criminal. And then they stood there all day long, and at dusk they took them against the wall and shot them. So they treated their own citizens very severely as well. There was no work in Sachsenhausen. We just awaited developments. Soon the Russians approached Berlin and started bombardment, and the Germans marched us out of Berlin north up toward the North Sea. We marched along the roads, tens of thousands of prisoners, no food, day and night. However, we realized the war is coming to an end. By walking through the villages and towns, seeing the haggard faces of the Germans on the side of the road, the pieces of equipment laying around. The SS guards left us. There were young soldiers guarding us, and their rifles were taller than they were. They were just as frightened as we were. We realized this is it. All we need is to survive the next few days. At night, they used to place us in forest and bedded us on blankets, and 4 or 5 fellows wrapped it ourselves in blankets. It's very cold. It was April, and northern Germany is very cold. No food was served whatsoever. One day, the Red Cross came across the front lines. And again, another miracle I would never understand. How did the Red Cross be ever able to cross the German front lines and find us in a wooded part of Germany? I will never understand. But it's the only food we received during our trip. They brought K rations, of course, the only thing that the army had. The Germans opened each one of the K rations, took the chocolates and the cigarettes, and gave each prisoner, one piece out of the box. I remember receiving a box of dried milk. That was all I ate. I never had dry milk, and I had difficulty, I assure you, swallowing it. But I was so hungry, I ate it. The last day of my imprisonment, I was placed in a quarry. We were surrounded by guards that watched us during the night. We bedded as usually on the blankets on the bottom of the quarry. I woke up in the morning and found there's a few Germans left. I speak German fluently, so I walked up to one of the remaining guards, asked him what's going on, and they said, the Americans are coming close. You can go. You don't have to stay. Well, he didn't have to say it twice. I quickly ran down and told my friends, hey, let's get out of here before they change their mind. I remember the day again. It was a beautiful day. It was April, sunny, gorgeous day. And of course, we marched toward the Americans. And then we kept on walking all the day because I was so afraid that the Germans would change their mind and put me in a camp again. So at the end of the day, I was very exhausted. And in the distance, I saw a tank I've never seen and a soldier I've never seen before in a strange uniform. There was the GI standing in the middle of the road with a gun pointed at the oncoming traffic and the tank blocking the road. Of course, he waved us across the tank, and we were saved. Of course, we were taken to one of the detention camps where the United Nations took care of us. I speak a number of languages, so I was employed by the United Nations. Eventually, I remember what my father told me to go to Salzburg, where my family was. I went there, and to my entire amazement, I found that my whole family survived. My father and my uncle, they all were fine. They were waiting for me. I was the last member to return. It was a wonderful reunion. My father went back to Poland and tried to regain the factory. However, the Polish government had nationalized it, so he felt unsecured, returned back and said, well, the only thing we do, have to emigrate. By that time, I went back to the United Nations for work and found out that the President Truman made possible for displaced persons, which we were, to come to America. We applied and we were taken. We arrived to New York. at the expense of the United States government. And as we arrived here, we had no money and no papers. So they would receive a piece of paper in lieu of passport at $20, a handshake. And with this, we landed on the west part of New York. On the 12th Avenue, I believe. I went to the Traveler's Aid, and they have placed us in a hotel for about a week. And in a week, we all found the jobs. I found a small apartment in the Bronx, and we began our life in America. In the fall of that year, that was 1945, after dinner, my father turned to me one day and said, "You know, Severin, this is a wonderful country. We need to start our life all over again." And he says, "Quit your job, see if you can buy a company." So I looked at the New York Times, and one day I found an ad, Baldwin, Tool and Die, for sale in Newark, New Jersey. I met the owner, who was of German descent, and again, making a deal with him, he agreed to sell the company. He wanted $20,000, which we didn't have. So we offered him $5,000. He said, "We need to start something, and the rest of it will pay you every month." Well, after the deal was completed, we opened the business January 2nd, 1946, with $1,000. I tell you, the rest of it is a story of an American dream. This company we built up to a huge international corporation with sales of hundreds of millions of dollars. Our hardware is one of the leaders in our country. Our hardware is in the White House. Every president of the United States, when they leave their house, the White House builds a new residence. Baldwin goes on it. The governor's mansion in Harrisburg has Baldwin on it. And so as you can see it, I don't own the company anymore. I sold it in 1982. It's owned now by Black & Decker. So as you can hear, my very sad story that started in the concentration camps had a very happy ending. But that could not happen in any other country than America. Thank you so much for your attention.